Tonight, let the world be smaller. Let it be no bigger than the weight of your blanket, the slow rise of your chest, the hush that lives in a room when the lights are low and nothing is asking you to hurry. If your mind has been busy today, tabs open, lists unfinished, little worries tapping at the edge of your attention, just notice that you are here now. You have arrived at a quieter hour. And for the next little while, you don't have to solve anything. You only have to listen. Right now, where are you listening to this story? In your bedroom, on the sofa, or on a night train ride? Wherever you are, imagine that I'm speaking softly beside a warm lamp, a lamp that doesn't glare, only glows. Imagine the air is gentle. Imagine even the seconds are moving more slowly, as if time itself has decided to walk on tiptoe. In the ancient world, people built cities the way we build habits, one layer at a time, a floor laid down, a wall raised, a hearth lit. Then, years later, the same place is smoothed over, rebuilt, and lived in again. Not because anyone was trying to hide the past, but because the past was already there, steady, patient, holding up everything that came after. And that's the small, soothing wonder we'll drift through tonight. What if the oldest stories of civilization are not only written in books, but also resting under our feet? Not as something frightening, not as a dramatic secret, more like a hidden library, quiet shelves under the ground, where dust settles, where time keeps its records in clay and stone. There is a particular kind of silence you feel in museums late in the day. If you've ever walked through a gallery when it's nearly closing, you might remember it, the way footsteps become gentle, the way voices turn into whispers, the way glass cases catch the last light like still water. In one corner, there might be a small tablet of baked clay, no bigger than your hand, pressed with tiny wedge-shaped marks. In another, a shard of pottery with a simple curve that once fit someone's palm. These are modest things, and yet they carry a strange tenderness because they were once ordinary. Tonight, we won't race through dates and arguments. We won't treat history like a courtroom. We'll treat it like a night walk, slow, observant, kind to the nervous system. Here, no one rests alone. Every story from the past is a soft lantern in the dark, gently lighting our way tonight. Now, take a slow breath in, and as you exhale, imagine a staircase. Not a grand staircase with sharp edges and bright marble, a simple one, carved into earth, with wide steps. Each step is the width of a calm thought. Each step is a soft lowering of the shoulders. With every breath, we go down, not into fear, but into quiet. Down into the idea that under the busiest places there is another world that moves at the speed of settling dust. Before we drift deeper into tonight's gentle journey, remember to subscribe to Ancient Sleep Story. Here, you'll always find peaceful stories that soothe the heart and quiet the mind. Where are you listening from tonight? Leave a comment. Your presence adds warmth to this quiet corner of the night. Good. Now the story can begin. Picture a wide plain at dusk, somewhere between rivers that have been flowing for so long, they seem to know the shape of every stone. The sky is fading from pale gold into a calm blue. Wind moves across open land like a slow hand smoothing a sheet. In the distance, a low mound rises, nothing dramatic, just a gentle swell of earth, as if the ground is breathing. To an untrained eye, it might look like a natural hill, but archaeologists have a word for such mounds: tells. A tell is what happens when people live in the same place for a very long time, building, rebuilding, and building again. Walls collapse and become part of the ground. Floors are covered, then covered again. Ash from old fires settles into the soil. Pottery breaks get swept aside, gets buried, and over centuries the city becomes a hill, not because it rises but because it accumulates. A tell is time, stacked. And when you stand on top of one, you are standing on a layered memory. In the early 20th century, a man named Leonard Woolley came to southern Mesopotamia with a team and a careful patience. The sun there can be bright, but mornings can be cool, and evenings can turn the sand into a soft bronze. Woolley was excavating the ancient city of a place already old when the earliest written poems were new. He and his workers brushed and lifted the earth gently, as if they were unwrapping something fragile. They expected eventually to reach the beginning. In most minds, the beginning is bedrock, hard, blank, final. But sometimes history does not end in bedrock. Sometimes it opens like a book. Beneath royal tombs and temple grounds, Woolley's team found a layer of clean clay, smooth, pale, and strangely pure, as if water had once laid it down carefully. It felt, in a way, like a quiet pause, like the earth had taken a breath. And below that clay there were signs of life again, pottery, tools, the outlines of older floors. Not the empty soil of before, but another before that was already human. When you hear something like that, you don't have to turn it into a debate. You can simply hold it as an image. A city, then a soft blanket of clay, then a city again beneath it, like two dreams separated by a gentle sheet. Later, excavations in other places suggested similar patterns: layers of living, layers of pause, layers of living again. At Eridu, one of the earliest cities in the region's own traditions, archaeologists found temples built on top of temples, one over another, like a lullaby repeating its melody, each verse slightly older, slightly deeper. In Jericho, there are layers upon layers, too, like a long stack of evenings, each one with its own firelight. And at Çatalhöyük, people built their homes, then filled them in and built again, staying within the same footprint for generations, as if the place itself mattered as much as the people who lived there. Why would humans return to the same ground so faithfully? Part of the answer is practical, of course. Water, fertile soil, shelter, trade routes. But there is also another kind of practicality, the practical need of the heart to belong to a place, to stand where your grandparents stood, to feel that your life is held by something continuous. Even now we do this. We return to certain streets, certain rooms, certain songs. We rebuild our days on familiar foundations. And so, as the years passed and more sites were studied, a soft thought began to form among some researchers and curious listeners, not as a certainty, but as a question you can hold lightly. What if the story of civilization is not a straight line, but a series of gentle restarts? Not an apocalyptic idea, just a human one. A reminder that life, even on the largest scale, often works in cycles: fall asleep, wake up, winter, spring, loss, return, forgetting, remembering. Outside your window, tonight, if there is one, you might notice how the world keeps these cycles without drama. The moon does not argue with the clouds. The trees do not panic when leaves fall. They simply let go, and then, when the time is right, they begin again. Now imagine one more layer to our descent. Imagine a hilltop in southeastern Turkey, where the air can be crisp and wild grasses sway like a slow sea. In the 1990s, excavations there revealed something unexpected: tall stone pillars arranged in circles, carved with animals that seemed to move in quiet procession: foxes, birds, snakes, and creatures that once watched the world from the edge of firelight. The site is known as Göbekli Tepe, and the dates associated with it are old, older than the first cities we usually talk about, older than the earliest writing. Whatever it was, it suggests that human beings long ago gathered, organized, and built with a sense of meaning, not for war, not for spectacle, but perhaps for ritual, for community, for the comfort of standing under a sky full of stars. And then, in a gesture that feels strangely tender, parts of the site were deliberately covered over, buried, as if someone tucked it in gently. You don't have to decide exactly why. You can simply picture it: stone, then soil, memory, then a blanket. A message left quietly for another time. If sea levels rose as the last ice age ended, if coastlines changed and familiar shores disappeared, then many human stories would have moved inland. Some would have been lost. Some might have survived as habits, as myths, as small practices that kept people steady. Across many cultures, there are flood stories, not as proofs, not as weapons in an argument, just as echoes, a shared feeling that water can change everything, and that after the waters, people begin again. Tonight, we'll treat those echoes gently. We'll let them be what they are, the mind's way of holding on to something vast. And now, as you rest, let the staircase continue. One more step down, not into darkness, but into depth. Because in the next part of our journey, we'll travel softly from site to site, not to overwhelm you with names, but to hold one calm image at a time. A brush sweeping dust, a lamp in a trench, a thin line in the soil where one world ended and another began. For now, feel your breath. Slow, warm, steady. Under the noise of modern life, there is always a layer of quiet. You are safe, the night is on your side, and in you there is one as well, waiting like a hidden room, ready to hold you while you sleep. In this quiet hour, let's return to the plain between the rivers, where evening comes slowly like a shawl laid over shoulders. Imagine you are walking, not quickly, not with purpose, sharp enough to cut the air, just walking the way you might stroll through your own neighborhood after dinner when the windows glow. The land is open, the horizon is wide, and the sky is doing that gentle thing it does at dusk, fading from honeyed light into a deepening blue. A coolness gathers near the ground. Far away, a few birds cross the last bright strip of sunset, and their wings make no sound you need to chase. If it helps, let your breath match the scene. Inhale, as if you are taking in the last warmth of the sun. Exhale, as if you are letting the day settle into the earth. Now, ahead of you, there is a small camp of people working carefully. Archaeologists and local workers, their movements unhurried, their attention tender. There are tools laid out like instruments in a quiet clinic, brushes with soft bristles, small trowels, baskets for soil. A lantern waits for the moment when the light thins too much and shadows begin to stretch. This is not an adventure in the loud sense. It is a listening practice. Because when you excavate a site, you are not forcing the past to speak. You are learning to hear what it has been saying all along, in layers and textures, in the subtle change from one color of soil to another. Here the ground is not only ground, it is pages. Sometimes when the workers scrape gently, a thin line appears, an edge of a flaw. Sometimes a curve of pottery emerges like a crescent moon rising from dust. Sometimes there is a patch of ash so fine and pale it seems the fire turned into silk. And sometimes there is clay. Clay is one of the most comforting materials to imagine, isn't it? It begins as mud, water and earth, the simplest partnership. It can be shaped, smoothed, pressed with fingerprints. It can dry in the sun, becoming firm, and if it is fired, it becomes almost permanent. In Mesopotamia, clay held so much of life. It held bricks, seals, bowls, tablets. It held the quiet record of ordinary days. Tonight, as you lie there, safe, warm, held by whatever bedding surrounds you. Picture a small clay tablet in someone's hand. Picture the way the fingertip presses a stylus into its surface, making marks that are both practical and strangely beautiful. A list of grain, a note of debt, a prayer, a name, not dramatic, just human. If your mind wants to wander, let it wander gently into a memory of your own, something small and steady. The smell of rain on warm pavement, the sound of a kettle beginning to sing, the way a hallway looks when everyone else is asleep. Those tiny impressions are also a kind of record pressed into the clay of you. Now let the scene shift softly, as if the camera in a film glides from the open sky down into a trench where the soil is cut like a cross-section of time. This is where Leonard Woolley once stood at looking into the earth as if it were a deep well of memory. You can picture him with a hat against the sun, his face lined not only by age, but by focus. Around him, workers move like careful dancers, lifting and brushing, handing baskets up, setting aside fragments that once belonged to kitchens and courtyards. If you listen closely, you might hear the soft sound of sweeping. Shh, shh. A broom of twigs pulling dust away from something older than any of the hands touching it. There is an ASMR-like comfort in that, the idea of time being gently tidied, not to erase it, but to reveal it. Woolley's team expected eventually to reach emptiness, but instead, they reached a pause, a layer of clean clay laid down long ago. It was smooth, almost pure, as if water had arrived, stayed quietly for a while, then left, allowing silt to settle like a calm thought settling into the mind. Above it, a city's traces. Below it, more traces of living. A chapter, then a soft blank page, then another chapter, older, deeper, still human. If you notice any tension in your forehead or jaw, let that image soften it, because it suggests something gentle, that even when life is interrupted, it can return. And return does not always mean starting from nothing. Sometimes return means continuing. Now the journey widens the way a river widens when it nears the sea. From let us drift slowly toward Eridu. Not with a list of facts, not with a rush of dates, but with one steady image. Temples stacked upon temples, built one over another in the same sacred place, layer after layer. Each new floor laid carefully above the old, like a blanket above another blanket, until the ground itself becomes a soft mound, and the mound becomes a quiet monument. When you think of that stacking, it can feel like breathing. Inhale, build, exhale, rest. Inhale, build again. Exhale, let time cover it gently. It's easy to imagine the people who lived there. A child running along a wall warmed by sun, a pot simmering, sending up the smell of grain and herbs, a voice calling someone home before the light fades. And then, centuries later, other voices, other children, other hands making the same kinds of gestures, lighting fire, carrying water, smoothing clay, because the body remembers what it needs, even when names change. If tonight's story is touching something in you, some old tiredness, some quiet longing, let it be okay. History can feel like distance, but it is also closeness. It tells you that many other minds have lain awake under the night, thinking small thoughts about safety and tomorrow, and then eventually letting those thoughts drift away. There is a reason these places feel layered. Human life is layered. We are not only who we are today, we are every version of ourselves that learned how to endure and then learned how to soften. Now, for a moment, let the soundscape change. Imagine wind moving across a dry plain, then imagine it fading as you step into a sheltered space, perhaps near a wall of mud brick. The air is still. You can hear your own breathing, and it feels like the most natural music. somewhere above. And the modern world is doing modern things, cars, lights, schedules. But down here, in the imagination, the pace is older, slower, kinder, and the path continues, not in a straight line, but in a calm rhythm. Go and pause, go and pause. Maybe you can notice right now the simple miracle of being held by a surface, mattress, sofa, seat. Ancient people trusted floors they had packed with clay and straw. You trust whatever supports you tonight. Different centuries, same surrender. You don't need to hold yourself up anymore. Take one more breath in, and on the exhale, allow that support to do its quiet work. From Mesopotamia, the mind can drift west toward the Levant, toward a place like Jericho where stone walls once held back both wind and time. Picture one strong image, a tower rising in the early morning light, not as a fortress for fear, but as a landmark for belonging. The stones are cool, the shadows are soft. Someone's hand rests on the rough surface, feeling that it is real, that it holds, that it does not hurry. Then with another gentle glide, picture Çatalhöyük, where homes clustered together like warm cells in a honeycomb. Imagine rooftops you could walk across and ladders leading down into rooms. Inside, the air smells faintly of smoke and clay. The walls carry simple paintings, red earth tones, handprints, repeating shapes, quiet evidence that people even then wanted beauty near where they slept. If the names feel unfamiliar, you don't have to hold them tightly. Let them pass like street signs seen through a train window. Keep only the feeling, humans returning, rebuilding, living above their own old footsteps as if the ground itself deserved respect. And now, let's return to the question we are holding so lightly it barely weighs anything at all. If so many cities are built on top of cities, if so many homes are built on top of homes, what else might be resting beneath the places we think we know, not as a threat, as a quiet continuation, as if the earth has been keeping diaries for us, and every so often someone opens a page. There is another reason the idea feels so natural. At the end of the last ice age, the world's waters changed their edges. Sea levels rose, not in a single dramatic moment, but over long spans of time, slow enough that it could feel to a human life like the sea simply had a new mood. Shorelines moved. Plains that had once been land became shallows, then became water. Old paths disappeared under waves. Old campsites became places fish could pass over. If you imagine that gently, it is not frightening. It is almost like watching a tide come in at night. The sound steady, the movement patient, and it leaves us with a soft possibility that some early human places might now be resting under the sea, where light filters down in wavering ribbons and sand settles again and again, covering shapes the way a blanket covers a sleeping shoulder. In the next part, we'll follow that glide from desert to shoreline, from dry dust to deep water, toward the feeling of stones lying quietly beneath waves, and toward a distant hill where pillars stand in a circle as if they were listening to the stars. For now, let your shoulders sink a little deeper. Let your hands loosen. Let your breath slow, as if you are listening to the sound of dust settling in a lantern's light. Let the scene change the way a dream changes, without effort, without sharp corners. You are still resting wherever you are, the room around you quiet, your body supported, your breath moving like a slow tide. And in the story, we are still walking through deep time, step by step, layer by layer. Now imagine the plane we were on begins to slope almost imperceptibly. The wind tastes a little different. The air carries a hint of salt, faint but unmistakable, like a memory you can't quite place until it warms in your mind. Somewhere ahead, the land meets water. Not a loud shoreline filled with crowds and bright umbrellas, just an ancient coast, simple and wide, with reeds bending at the edge of a river mouth. The sky is pale, the sun is low, the water is calm enough to mirror the color of evening. If your thoughts have been racing today, allow this quiet coastline to slow them down. The ocean has always been patient. It doesn't ask you to be perfect. It only shows you how to move forward and then back, forward and then back, always returning, always arriving. Breathe in and imagine the coolness of sea air. Breathe out and imagine a small wave smoothing the shore. Long ago, during the end of the last ice age, coastlines were not where they are now. The world held more water in ice, and the seas sat lower, leaving broad shelves of land exposed, places where people could have walked, camped, made fires, and watched the stars. Over thousands of years, as the climate warmed, the ice released its water back into the oceans and the sea level rose, not like a sudden monster, but like a slow, steady visitor. A tide that keeps coming season after season, until the edges of the map look different. If you picture that gently, it can feel almost soothing, the idea that the planet itself breathes on long time scales. Ice becomes water, water becomes cloud, cloud becomes rain, rivers carry silt, silt becomes clay, clay becomes brick, brick becomes wall, wall becomes a layer in a tell. It is all one long cycle, moving with a rhythm far slower than any human day. And when sea levels rose, some early human places would have moved too. People would have stepped back from the water's new reach, carrying what matters: children, tools, seed, songs. The old shore would have become shallows. The shallows would have become open water. And whatever had been left behind, stone circles, hearths, footprints pressed into wet sand, might now rest beneath the sea, covered by layers of sediment as soft as falling snow. If you've ever put something precious away, folding it into tissue paper, closing a box carefully, then you already understand the feeling. Not everything under the sea is lost. Some things are simply held. Tonight, we will not claim certainty where we don't have it. We won't turn mystery into loud conclusions. We'll only allow a gentle possibility that some chapters of early human life may be underwater, quiet and undisturbed, waiting for the right light and the right patience. And we'll let that possibility feel calm, because the sea is not only a force, it is also a blanket. Now imagine you are standing on a cliff at twilight. Below you, waves roll in with a soft, repetitive sigh. Each wave arrives, touches the rocks and slips away, leaving a thin sheen that catches the last light. The sound is steady enough that your mind begins to settle into it automatically. Shh, shh. If you like, imagine you're sitting on a simple wooden bench above the water, hands resting loosely in your lap. The bench is cool, steady, familiar. You hear one wave, then another. Nothing else is required, just this small moment of being held by sound. And if you're listening from a busy city tonight, let that city fade gently into the background for a while. The same kind of hush as a brush moving dust off stone. In some parts of the world, divers and researchers have explored underwater structures that inspire curiosity. Shapes that look like walls or steps, stones that seem arranged, places that make you pause and wonder. Some claims are debated, some are uncertain, and that is okay. Uncertainty is not an enemy of sleep. It can be a pillow if you let it be. You do not have to decide tonight what is true. You only have to feel what is gentle. Under the surface, light becomes soft and blue. Sound changes, movement slows, even time feels different. A sunken landscape would not feel like ruin. It would feel like quiet architecture for fish and drifting plants. Sand would settle in slow sheets. In the distance, a line of stones might remain, not demanding an answer, only offering a shape for your imagination to rest on. If your body is still holding tension, let the sea take it. With the next exhale, let your shoulders drop as if gravity has become kinder. Now, from the shoreline, we drift inland again, because the story of buried places is not only underwater, it is also under earth. And we are moving toward one of the softest discoveries of all, a place that feels like a circle of listening. Picture southeastern Anatolia, rolling hills, wild grasses, a winter sky that can be sharp and clear, and a summer heat that makes the stones glow pale in the afternoon. Birds cross the open air. In the distance, low mountains hold the horizon like a calm promise. On one particular hill, the ground once looked ordinary, just another rise among many. But when careful hands began to uncover what lay beneath, tall stone pillars appeared, arranged in rings. The pillars were carved not with kings or battles, but with animals, creatures that would have moved through the world near human camps, foxes, boars, birds, snakes. The site is called Göbekli Tepe, and what makes it feel like a lullaby to the curious mind is not only its age, but its mood. It suggests gatherings, it suggests intention, it suggests that long before writing, long before cities with busy streets, humans already knew how to create places that felt meaningful, places where people might have stood together under the stars. If you've ever been at a quiet gathering, maybe a holiday evening when the noise has softened, or a moment around a campfire when everyone is simply listening, then you know the feeling. Community without pressure, presence without performance. Göbekli Tepe, in the imagination, can be that kind of place. Now here comes the soft discovery, the gentle twist that does not shock, only warms the mind with wonder. Parts of Göbekli Tepe were deliberately buried, not destroyed, not abandoned in anger, covered, as if someone long ago decided to preserve it by tucking it into the earth. You can picture it like this. A person scoops soil and pours it around the pillars. Another smooths it. Time takes over. Wind brings more dust. Rain compacts it gently. Seeds sprout, then die back, then sprout again. The hill grows quiet. The circle sleeps. And centuries later, other hands, patient, careful, begin to lift that soil away grain by grain as if waking a dream without startling it. When you think about that, it can change the way you feel about buried things. Burial is not always loss. Sometimes burial is care. Sometimes it is a way of saying, not for now, but not forgotten. And isn't that a comforting idea for the modern mind? Because modern life often makes us feel we are constantly losing things, time, focus, calm. We rush, and what we love gets pushed aside, but perhaps some of what matters is not gone. Perhaps it is simply resting under a layer of busyness, waiting for a quiet hour to be uncovered again. If tonight's story is bringing up a memory, something tender, something old, let it come gently. You don't have to hold it tightly, just let it be near you like a soft lamp in the corner of a room. Now let's widen the lens again. Across many ancient places we find layers, cities stacked, temples repeated, floors built over floors, and across many cultures we find stories of water, stories of long rains, rising rivers, seas that change their edges. Instead of treating those flood stories as arguments, tonight we will treat them as a shared human feeling, that water is powerful and that survival often looks like beginning again. Imagine a night of rain that lasts longer than expected, not violent, just steady. The sound on rooftops becomes constant, a kind of white noise. People gather indoors, they tell stories to pass the hours, they count supplies, they comfort children. They look out into darkness and listen for the river's mood. If you're a busy person in a busy world, You understand this instinct. When life feels uncertain, we return to what is simple: warmth, light, voice, closeness. And that may be why flood stories linger. Not because they are trying to frighten us, but because they carry the memory of humans protecting each other through change. Now take another slow breath. Inhale, as if you are breathing in starlight. Exhale, as if you are letting the sea carry your worries away. In the next part of our journey, we'll follow the rhythm of go and pause through a few more gentle scenes. A lantern in a trench, a circle of pillars under night sky, a quiet thought about how civilizations might be less like inventions and more like something we maintain, like a garden, like a friendship, like the calm you are cultivating right now. If this story has brought you even a little peace, you can leave a gentle comment for yourself, just a small sign that you are here with us in the quiet. And remember, here, no one rests alone. Somewhere above you tonight, the modern world continues to blink and hum, traffic lights changing, elevators rising, inboxes filling. And yet here, in this softer pocket of the night, we are moving in a different direction, downward. Not into anything frightening, but into steadiness. If you're listening with the lights off, notice how darkness doesn't erase the room, it softens it. The corners relax. The ceiling becomes distant. And your own eyelids do the same, lowering like calm curtains for you. If it helps, imagine that each breath is a small descent, as if you were walking down a wide, safe stairway carved into warm earth. The air is cooler here. The sound is muted. Even your thoughts, which may have been restless a moment ago, begin to lose their sharp edges. Inhale, one step. Exhale, one step. And now, as we settle into this deeper layer of the story, picture a hill again. One of those quiet tells that look like ordinary rises in the landscape. You might pass one in daylight and never notice, the way you might pass a closed book on a shelf without realizing it holds an entire world. But at night, under lantern light, a tell becomes something else. It becomes a softly lit island of attention. Around it, the land is dark and wide, and the stars are bright enough to make you feel in the gentlest way how long the sky has been watching. The excavation site is calm. Tools are arranged neatly. The workers speak in low voices. Someone pours tea, and the steam rises like a small ghost that isn't here to haunt, only to warm. A brush moves over soil. A trowel lifts a thin layer. And slowly the hill begins to tell its story. One of the quiet truths of archaeology is that the most important moments are rarely loud. There is no dramatic trumpet. There is instead a change in texture, a soil that turns finer or darker or unexpectedly clean, a line that suggests a wall, a patch of ash that suggests a fire long cooled. Tonight, let us follow one of those subtle changes. Imagine that the workers have reached a layer of clay, smooth, pale, clean. It sits there like a pause in a sentence. It is not rubble, it is not chaos. It is a soft, even sheet, as if water once stood here patiently and then left. You remember this image from the clean clay layer Woolley found, the sense that something happened and then life returned. Now the mind does something natural. It begins to wonder, was the clay a flood deposit, a river shifting its mood, a long season of water and silt? We do not have to decide tonight. We can let the question rest in the background like distant thunder that never arrives. Instead, let's keep our focus on what feels gentle and human, because below the clay there are floors again, there are bowls again, there are tools again. Someone lived here too. In that moment, history stops being a straight hallway with a single door at the end. It becomes a house with many rooms. You open one, and there is another behind it. You open another, and there is one more, layer after layer, not to confuse you, but to soothe you with repetition. And if you have ever felt like you had to start over in your own life, after a move, after a loss, after a difficult season, maybe this layered house of time offers a quiet comfort. Starting over does not always erase what came before. Sometimes it simply builds above it, carrying what still holds. Now let the scene drift to Eridu again, not as a lecture, but as a slow pan of the camera. Picture a flat horizon under a pale morning sky. The land is sandy, but near the water it turns darker and richer. Reeds whisper. A small bird lands, then lifts away. The air smells faintly of wet soil, the kind of scent that feels like beginnings. At Eridu, archaeologists found temples stacked upon temples, many layers of sacred space built in the same place, over and over. Imagine walking into the newest temple, the one at the top. The floor is smooth, the walls are cool. The air inside is dim and calm. Now imagine, beneath that floor, another floor, and beneath that, another. Each layer older, quieter, deeper. The idea is simple enough that your mind can hold it without effort. People returned, people repaired, people rebuilt, they maintained, and maintenance, in its own quiet way, is one of the most tender human acts. It is easy to glorify invention the moment something appears shiny and new, but most of life is not invention. Most of life is keeping, sweeping, mending, feeding, carrying, listening, returning. Civilization, perhaps, is not only a grand creation. Perhaps it is a long practice of care. If that sentence lands softly in you, let it stay. You do not have to analyze it. Just feel it. Now the story turns its gaze to another gentle mystery. Why do some ancient places seem to have been covered on purpose? We have already touched it at Göbekli Tepe, where pillars were tucked into earth as if into a blanket. But this idea appears in other ways too. Walls filled in, rooms sealed, foundations covered, towers surrounded by later layers. At first, it might seem strange. Why cover what you built? But then you remember something your own life has taught you. Sometimes you cover something not because you want to forget it, but because you want to protect it. You wrap a fragile object in cloth. You close a door to keep a room quiet. You put away a photograph when it is too precious to handle every day. What if, in the ancient world, burial could be a form of respect? Not every culture does this, and not every case means the same thing. But for our sleep story tonight, we can let the image be what it wants to be, a human gesture of care, a hand smoothing soil, a community stepping back, a sacred space resting, and then, centuries later, another community arriving with lanterns and brushes, lifting that soil away with the same kind of care, as if saying, "We're here now, we will listen." This kind of listening is slow, it requires patience. And patience is one of the most soothing things you can offer your own mind before sleep. If you notice thoughts trying to pull you forward, tomorrow's plans, yesterday's mistakes, bring them back to the lantern light. Bring them back to the brush. Bring them back to the soft sound of soil being lifted grain by grain, because grain by grain is how the nervous system calms, not instantly, not by force, by steady, gentle repetition. Now let's add another quiet layer to the story, one that lives not in stone, but in language. In ancient Mesopotamia, people eventually began to write down lists of goods, of names, of offerings. And among those lists, there is one famous tradition that later generations preserved, a list of kings. In that tradition, there is a phrase that feels almost like poetry. Kingship descended from heaven. You do not need to take it literally. Tonight we can hear it as a human longing. People wanted to feel that order came from somewhere higher than their daily chaos. They wanted to feel that society was not only a fragile arrangement, but something held by meaning. When life feels uncertain, the mind reaches upward. It looks for a larger pattern. It says, quietly, "Let this make sense." And perhaps that is why phrases like that endure. Not because they prove anything, but because they comfort. There is another Mesopotamian idea too that scholars sometimes describe with the word me, a set of rules, powers, or sacred norms that make the world feel organized. Imagine them not as strict laws, but as little golden slips of paper kept in a storeroom. The knowledge of how to bake bread, how to govern, how to sing, how to tell the truth, how to build a city, how to care for the weak. You can picture these me as something passed hand to hand, sometimes carefully, sometimes clumsily, sometimes lost, while sometimes found again. Isn't that also like modern life? We inherit ways of doing things, rituals, routines, values, without always knowing where they began. We live inside patterns that are older than we are. And one of those patterns is so ordinary we rarely notice it. The rhythm of 7 days. Week after week, the world turns through that familiar cycle. Work days, rest days, a weekend glow. Mondays return. You don't have to know the full story of how the 7-day week became widespread to feel its softness tonight. Just notice this. You are resting inside an ancient rhythm. Your calendar is a quiet inheritance. Your sense of week is a small thread connecting you to countless people across centuries who also counted days, marked rest, returned again. If that feels like a gentle wow, let it be gentle. Let it be a small candle, not a spotlight. Now, as we near the end of this part, the camera of the story lowers again, closer to the ground. We return to the trench. We return to the lantern. We return to the brush. And we remember, beneath the busy streets of today, there are layers of quiet. Beneath the noise in your mind, there are layers of quiet too. You do not have to dig them up with effort. You only have to let yourself sink. One more breath in, one more breath out. And as you exhale, imagine a door closing softly, not locking you in, but closing out the day. In the next part, we will follow a few more gentle steps. From the layered temples to the starlit circles, from the idea of buried care to the feeling of time as a calm ocean. And we will let the story carry you further towards sleep, the way a slow wave carries a leaf, without struggle, without hurry, only drift. If you're still awake, you're doing it perfectly. There is no right speed for sleep. There is only the soft practice of easing yourself toward it, like walking into warm water inch by inch until your body remembers it can float. So let's keep going gently. Notice your breathing again. Notice that it arrives without asking your permission. Notice that it leaves without taking anything from you, in and out, like tides. And now in the story, we return to a night sky. Not the sky over a city where light washes the stars away. A darker sky, a wider sky, a sky that makes you feel without fear how huge time is and how safe it can be to be small inside it. Imagine a hilltop in Anatolia again. The grass is low and dry, the air is cool enough to sharpen the scent of earth. And above, stars are scattered like grains of salt on black cloth. In the center of this hilltop, there is a circle. Stone pillars stand upright, tall and pale in moonlight. Their surfaces are carved with animals, not as decoration for show, but as if the stone itself is remembering what life moved around it. Foxes slipping through brush, birds lifting from reeds, snakes threading through warm sand. The circle is quiet, it feels less like a monument and more like a listening device, an instrument tuned to the night, Göbekli Tepe. When you picture it like this, it doesn't feel like a mystery that needs to be solved with urgency. It feels like a place that invites you to soften your mind, the way a cathedral invites silence, or the way a forest does. What does it mean that people gathered here? Maybe it means they wanted to belong to something bigger than their daily tasks. Maybe it means they wanted ritual and anchor that steadied them through seasons of uncertainty. Or maybe it simply means they enjoyed being together under the sky and they made a circle because circles are comforting. Circles say you are included, you are held. You are not at the edge. Even now, humans sit in circles when we want closeness, around dinner tables, around campfires, in support groups, in living rooms after a long day. A circle is one of the gentlest shapes. Tonight, let the circle be gentle for you too. Imagine you are standing just outside it. You do not have to step inside if you don't want to. You can simply feel its presence, feel the way it changes the air, as if quiet has a center. And then allow the soft discovery to return, the one that feels like a warm hush rather than a shock. This place was deliberately covered, tucked into the earth, not destroyed, not erased, hidden in a kind way. As if someone long ago said, "Let this rest." That's such a tender thought, isn't it? Because so much of modern life makes us feel exposed, always on display, always available, always responding. But there is a different way to live, a way that says, some things deserve to be protected by silence. Some things deserve to sleep. If you've been carrying too much lately, too many expectations, too many decisions, consider this: you are allowed to be buried tonight in the gentle sense. Covered by blankets, covered by darkness, covered by permission. Not lost, not gone, just resting. Now let the story drift from the circle back toward the long coastline we visited earlier, because the circle and the sea share something. Both invite you to look up and out, to feel time's vastness without panic. The sea at night is like a giant breath. It inhales water toward the shore. It exhales water away. Inhale, exhale. If the world once held more water in ice, if sea levels rose slowly over millennia, then the shoreline would have moved like a patient creature. Old camps would have been left behind. Old paths would have disappeared. And somewhere beneath waves there may be stones arranged in patterns no one remembers, not as a conspiracy, but as a simple consequence of geography and time. Here is the gentle way to hold it. Not everything is meant to be recovered. Some things are meant to remain as silence, and silence, in the right context, is not emptiness. It is a form of care. Imagine you are underwater now, not in a scary way, more like a dream, where you can breathe easily, where the body is light, where the world is blue and slow. Sunlight filters down in soft beams that sway gently like curtains. Sound is muted. The mind cannot rush here, everything is too calm. On the seabed, sand lies in thin, rippling lines. A small fish passes, a strand of seaweed waves like a slow hand. And then you notice it, a straight edge of stone half buried, a corner that looks intentional, a step-like shape that might be natural or might be human or might be a blend of both. You don't have to decide. You can let it be a quiet invitation to remember that there is more than what we can see, and that not seeing is not always a problem. Sometimes it is relief. Because modern minds are tired of chasing certainty. Sometimes the deepest rest comes from letting questions remain open like windows at night, open just enough to let cool air in, not open so wide that the room becomes cold. Now come back to land again, back to the tells, back to the layered cities, because the sea is only one kind of covering. The earth is another. In Jericho in Mesopotamia, in places like Tzat al-Huyuk, we see the same gentle pattern. People build, people live, and later people build again. The past becomes foundation, and this brings us to one of the calmest reflections of all, one that can ease the pressure many people feel in the modern world. Maybe civilization is not a single invention, maybe it is something we maintain. Think of all the invisible maintenance in your life, the way you charge your phone, the way you wash dishes, the way you show up for work, even when you're tired, the way you answer a friend's message, the way you keep a promise to yourself, even if it is small. Maintenance is not glamorous, but it is love. And if ancient civilizations rose and fell, perhaps what survived was not always the grandest structure, but the smaller skills: how to plant, how to store grain, how to build shelter, how to tell stories that soothe the frightened, how to count days, how to mark rest. And perhaps those skills pass through time like embers carried in a pot, quietly protected, ready to light again. If you want, imagine embers now. A small clay brazier, a careful hand placing ash over coals to keep them alive through the night. The flame is not visible, but the heat remains. That is what continuity can be like, not a bright, constant fire, a hidden warmth, waiting. Now let's touch a thought that is surprisingly soothing when you allow it to be soft. History may not be a straight line, it may be a series of gentle loops. Build, rest, rebuild, remember, forget, remember again, like seasons, like breath, like sleep itself. You fall asleep every night, not as a failure, but as a cycle. You let go, you drift, you return in the morning. Civilization may have its own versions of that, wider, slower, but still human. And tonight, you are part of the human rhythm of letting go. Now here is a small interactive moment, very gentle, no pressure. If tonight's story reminded you of a beautiful memory, feel free to share it below. Even if you don't, just knowing you could is enough, because that's what community is, the quiet possibility of connection. Here, no one rests alone. Now the night deepens. The circle of stones under stars fades slightly, like a dream receding. The sea becomes a distant hush, and what remains close is your breath, your body, the soft weight of rest. In the next part, we'll move even deeper into the reflection, into the idea that we do not have to know everything to be at peace. That not understanding fully can be a relief. That wonder can be a pillow. For now, let your eyelids soften. Let your jaw unclench. Let your thoughts slow, one by one, like lanterns dimming across a quiet hillside. Tonight, you don't have to be certain. You don't have to hold the whole world inside your mind, arranging facts into perfect order, solving every puzzle before you're allowed to rest. The night does not demand that of you. The night is older than deadlines. Older than arguments, older than the restless habit of figuring it out. So as we continue, let's make an agreement, quietly, kindly. We will keep our curiosity, but we will loosen our grip. We will let wonder stay warm, not sharp. And if a question appears, we will treat it like a feather, not a weight. Take a slow breath in, and as you breathe out, imagine setting a heavy book down on a table, not throwing it away, just placing it gently where it belongs, so your hands can relax. In the story, we are still traveling through the layered landscapes of early civilization, through tells that rise like sleeping animals, through temples stacked like lullabies, through circles of stone that once listened to stars. We have walked beside rivers, stood at quiet coasts, drifted through the blue hush of underwater light. And now we arrive at a softer place, not a new location on a map, but a mood, a room inside the mind where the light is dim and the furniture is simple and the only thing moving is your breath. This is the part of the journey where reflection becomes a blanket. Because when you look at the deep past, you meet something that can be surprisingly comforting, the fact that no one knows everything. Not you, not me, not even the most careful scholars with the most patient hands. The earth keeps many pages closed. The sea keeps many shapes covered. Time is generous with mystery, and that generosity can be a relief. If you are a person who carries pressure to perform, to understand, to have answers ready, then hear this softly. You are allowed to not know. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to be unfinished tonight. In Mesopotamia, people used clay because clay forgives. You can shape it, smooth it, reshape it. It holds fingerprints without judgment. It records effort, not perfection. Imagine a small piece of clay in your palm now. It is cool. It is slightly damp. It yields when you press it, and it does not argue. If you make a mark and then change your mind, you can smooth it and begin again. That is what rest can be like. Not a final answer. A soft reset. Now let's return, briefly, gently, to the question we have been carrying beneath all the images. If civilizations have layers, if cities are built on top of cities, if some places were covered on purpose, then what happened in the spaces between? What happened during the pauses, during the clean clay layers, during the times when water shifted, coastlines moved, and people stepped away from familiar ground? There are many possible answers, and tonight we will not chase them. Instead, we will listen to what the pattern itself suggests, that humans adapt, return, and continue. That life is resilient in quiet ways. That even when a chapter ends, another chapter can begin above it, borrowing stones, borrowing skills, borrowing hope. This is the soft twist of our story, and it is not meant to alarm you. It is meant to soothe you with perspective, because your own life may also have layers. There may have been years that felt like interruptions, moves, changes, losses, disappointments, seasons where the ground under you seemed to shift. And yet here you are, breathing, listening, still building something gentle above those layers. Now let's bring in the old phrase again, the one that sounds like a poem from a distant courtyard. Kingship descended from heaven. It is easy to hear that and imagine power, hierarchy, control. But tonight, let's hear it differently. Let's hear it as a longing for steadiness, as if people were saying, we need the world to feel ordered because we are small and the sky is vast. They watched floods, they watched droughts, they watched the unpredictable moods of rivers. And in that uncertainty, they made stories that gave shape to fear, stories that turned chaos into meaning. You do this too in modern ways. When you are anxious, your mind tells stories. What if this goes wrong? What if I'm not enough? What if tomorrow is hard? Tonight, we can change the story. Tonight, the story can be, what if I am safe right now? What if rest is allowed? What if I don't have to carry tomorrow until tomorrow arrives? If that feels tender, let it settle into you like warm tea. Now, a small, gentle 5W1H, like 6 lanterns set on the ground, not to interrogate you, but to orient you. Who is this story for? For the tired listener, for the careful heart, for the person who has been strong all day and is ready to soften. What is this story about? About deep time, layered cities, and the quiet art of continuation. When does it happen? Long ago and also right now, because memory and breath live in the present. Where does it happen? Between rivers, beneath hills, under seas, and inside the silent room behind your ribs. Why does it matter? Because it reminds you that you do not have to be the first, the fastest, or the loudest to be meaningful. You only have to keep. And how do we travel through it? Slowly, with images, with pauses, with kindness. Good. Let those lanterns glow without effort. Now imagine a simple scene. one we have visited before in different forms. A worker at an excavation site kneels in the early morning. The sun is still low. The air is cool enough to make the skin feel awake. In the trench, a thin line of darker soil appears, an edge of a wall. The worker pauses, breathes, then brushes gently. The wall becomes clearer, not because it is forced, but because it is respected. This is how the past is uncovered. And it is also how the nervous system calms, one gentle stroke at a time, not by ripping the earth open, but by meeting it. If your mind has been digging through worries lately, maybe you can change the method. Instead of scraping at thoughts, brush them. Instead of forcing conclusions, let them reveal themselves later. Now let the scene widen. Evening comes again over the ancient plain. A thin crescent moon hangs low. A cooking fire burns quietly. Someone sets a pot down and listens to it simmer. Someone else tells a story, not a dramatic one, but a steady one, the kind that makes children's eyelids heavy. The story is about the river, about stars, about a place where stones stand in a circle and hold silence. And as the story is told, the listeners relax. They do not demand proof. They do not argue. They simply let the voice carry them toward sleep. If you feel a small smile in your chest because the scene feels familiar in some deep human way, let that smile be soft. It is the recognition that you belong to a long lineage of listeners. Now take another slow breath. Feel the weight of your body. Feel the steadiness under you. And remember the line we are gathering like a warm stone in the pocket. You are not small because you don't know everything. You are peaceful because you don't need to know everything tonight. Imagine for a moment that your own life is a tell. Not a hill of stone and pottery, but a gentle mound made of mornings and evenings, of small choices repeated until they become a landscape. Under the today, you can feel there are other days, the first apartment you ever lived in, a kitchen where someone you loved once cooked, a phone call that changed you, a season when you learned to be brave in quiet ways. Those layers are not mistakes, they are foundations, and just like the ancient builders who returned to the same ground, you return to yourself again and again, sometimes with more wisdom, sometimes with more softness, always with the simple wish to keep going. If anxiety has been telling you that you must rebuild perfectly, let the past correct it gently. Ancient cities were not perfect. Their walls leaned, their bricks cracked, their streets changed shape with rain. And still people lived there, they laughed there, they rested there, they did not wait for ideal conditions to feel human. They made do, and they made meaning, and then they went to sleep. Now notice the smallest sounds around you tonight. Maybe there is a fan, a distant car, a settling house, or only the quiet inside your ears. Let those sounds be your modern river, a steady background that doesn't need your attention, only your permission. With the next inhale, soften your forehead. With the next exhale, let your tongue rest in your mouth. With the next inhale, let your shoulders drop a fraction. With the next exhale, feel your hands become heavier, as if warmth is pouring into them. If thoughts appear, picture them as little clay tablets on a shelf. You can read them another time. For now, you simply place them back, one by one, until the shelf is quiet. And when the shelf is quiet, the room inside you becomes quiet too, very gently. In the next part, we will drift into one of the calmest images of all, the 7-day rhythm of the week as a quiet inheritance, and the way ordinary routines can be ancient bridges. We will let the story become more domestic, more close to the modern listener, until the past and present feel like two hands meeting softly in the dark. For now, let your thoughts loosen. Let your curiosity become a lullaby. Let the unanswered questions fold themselves like blankets. If your eyes are heavy now, that is a good sign. If they are not, that is also a good sign. You are exactly where you need to be, in a quiet moment that asks nothing more than gentle listening. Let the story come closer to home. Imagine the world outside your room has been turned down, like a dimmer switch sliding lower. The sharpness softens, sounds become distant and round, and in that softness you can notice something simple that has been carrying you your whole life. A rhythm, a week, 7 days. You've lived inside that rhythm for so long, it can feel as natural as breathing. Monday arrives whether you want it to or not. Midweek has its familiar weight. The weekend loosens the shoulders. Then the cycle begins again, steady as a wheel. And yet, if you step back far enough, if you let your mind look at it from the calm distance of deep time, the week becomes quietly astonishing, because it is not only a modern schedule, it is an inheritance. Long before digital calendars and glowing notifications, people watched the sky and listened to the body's needs. They noticed patterns in moonlight. They watched the moon grow bright, then thin, then disappear, then return, like a slow-breathing lantern in the heavens. They noticed that the month could be felt in phases and that each turning of the moon seemed to offer natural chapters of time, roughly a handful of nights between one shape and the next. They also noticed certain bright points that wandered across the sky, shifting their position over weeks and months. Even without modern astronomy, the feeling was clear. The heavens had rhythms, and those rhythms could soothe the mind the way steady music soothes the body. And somewhere inside those observations, humans began to shape time into something shareable, something a community could hold together. Days for work, days for market, days for gathering, days for rest. Many historians trace the 7-day rhythm through ancient traditions, through the way early cultures organized time with the help of the heavens, and through the way that organization spread, slowly, from one society to another, like a quiet song carried across distance. But tonight, we don't have to follow every footnote. We only have to feel the warmth of the idea that even your busy life is held inside something old and gentle. Picture a Mesopotamian evening again, just one, simple and slow. The heat of the day has faded, a courtyard is cooling. Someone pours water into a clay jar, and the sound is soft and clear. A lamp is lit, its flames small, steady, humble. Above the flat roofs, the sky stretches wide. A scribe sits nearby, not in a hurry. He presses marks into a clay tablet, quiet wedges, careful and consistent. The tablet might record grain rations or a delivery, or the count of sheep. Ordinary things, the kind of things that keep a city alive. In the corner of his awareness, the scribe also knows what day it is, not because he has an app that tells him, but because the community moves together. There are days when the market is fuller, days when certain rituals are done, days when people are expected to rest more, speak more softly, gather in a different way. Time is not only a line, time is a shared agreement, a community holding hands across the invisible. And here you are tonight, centuries later, still inside that agreement. You might have a planner on your desk, or a calendar on your phone, or a stack of tasks that lives only in your mind. And still, without thinking, you are guided by a 7-day wave. If you feel any comfort in that, let it expand gently, because it means you are not inventing life from scratch. You are participating in a rhythm that has held countless people before you. Now imagine the week as a lantern, 7 panes of glass, 7 soft lights. Each day has its own color, even if you don't name it. One day feels like beginning, another feels like endurance, another feels like small relief, another feels like letting go. And tonight, whatever day it is for you, this is the pain where the light is dimmest, where the world asks least, where your nervous system is allowed to lower its guard. If you'd like a gentle question to rest inside, what part of the week are you releasing tonight? You don't have to answer in words. You can answer by exhaling. Now let's bring the story back to the layered cities, because the idea of a week is also a layer, an invisible foundation beneath modern life, the way a buried floor lies beneath a new one. In Ur, in Eridu, in Jericho, in the clustered homes of Çatalhöyük, people lived within cycles too, not 7-day schedules exactly as we know them, not always in the same form, but cycles of work and rest, cycles of planting and harvest, cycles of moon and season. They maintained those cycles the way they maintained fire. A small flame needs tending, not dramatic tending, just attention. A hand shielding it from wind. Ash placed carefully over embers. Civilization, in this softer view, becomes a practice of tending, not only building towering things, but keeping the small things alive, a water jar refilled, a roof patched before rain, a child calmed at night, a meal prepared again and again, maintenance. When you are tired, maintenance can feel like burden. But in the quiet light of deep time, maintenance becomes love made visible. And here is a gentle thought that can loosen the tightness modern people often carry. You don't have to be extraordinary to be meaningful. You only have to keep your kindness, keep your breath, keep your small routines that protect your mind. Keep returning to what steadies you. That is how ancient cities stayed alive. That is how you stay alive too. Now imagine the camera of the story moving from a temple mound back to your room. The ancient lamp becomes your bedside light. The clay tablet becomes your phone, face down, resting. The courtyard becomes your ceiling. The wide sky becomes the dark behind your eyelids. And the feeling is the same, a human being at the end of a day, ready to be carried by night. In some older traditions, rest was not treated as laziness. Rest was treated as a necessary rhythm, like the pause between breaths. When you inhale, you do not apologize for exhaling. The cycle is natural. So if you've been judging yourself lately, thinking you should do more, be more, fix more, let that judgment soften tonight. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to be unfinished. You are allowed to sleep. Now let's return to the sea for a moment, because the sea understands rhythms better than anyone. It comes in, it goes out, it returns. Your week is like that. Your energy is like that. Some days you surge, some days you recede. You are not broken, you are tidal. And if you live in a life of constant next, let the ocean offer you a different lesson. Returning is not failure. Returning is how rhythms stay alive. Now imagine a small detail from the ancient world that feels quietly domestic. A baker wakes before sunrise. The air is cool, the world is blue. He kneads dough in a shallow bowl, pressing and folding until the dough becomes smooth. He thinks of it as breakfast. Press, fold, like breath, like waves, like days. You too have kneading motions, not always with dough, but with routines. Coffee, shower, commute, emails, errands, dinner, dishes, quiet. Then the bed. These routines can feel dull when you are overwhelmed, but they can also be anchors. They can be the way you tell your body, we are safe. We have done this before, we will do it again. Ancient people built tells by repeating life. You build steadiness the same way. And that leads us back to the softest truth of the story. Underneath the busy surface of civilization is a quieter layer that holds everything up. Not the loud layer of achievements, the quiet layer of maintenance, the layer of repeated care. It is the same inside you. Underneath the loud thoughts, the arguments, the to-do lists, the worries, there is a quieter part of you that simply keeps you breathing. If you can feel even a hint of that quiet layer tonight, let it comfort you. You don't have to do anything to earn it. Now, another gentle question, only if it feels soothing. Never if it feels like work. When you think of the past 7 days, what is one small thing you did that you're grateful for? Maybe you drank water. Maybe you answered someone kindly. Maybe you rested when you needed to. Maybe you simply kept going. You don't have to type it. You can just let gratitude be a warm breath in the chest. Now the night deepens again, and the story begins to dim its lanterns one by one. We have spoken of cities beneath cities, of circles under hills, of coastlines that moved like slow dreams. And now we have spoken of the week, an invisible ancient rhythm that still holds your modern life. In the next part, we'll let the story become even softer and more intimate. We will return to the feeling of beneath streets, beneath waves, beneath thoughts, and we will let that beneath become a place of safety, the way the earth becomes safety for seeds. If it's late Sunday where you are, you might feel Monday already stirring beyond the door. Let it wait. You can greet it later with steadier hands. Tonight belongs to the quieter layer, the hour when the week releases you back to yourself, in the simplest, gentlest way. For now, let the 7-day lantern glow behind your eyelids. Let each pane of glass soften into darkness. Let tomorrow wait outside the door. And let tonight be what it is. A quiet room, a steady breath, and a mind that is allowed to drift. Tonight we return to one small word that has been guiding us like a handrail in the dark. Beneath. Beneath the bright layer of the day, there is the softer layer of night. Beneath the noise of streets, there are older streets that no longer hurry. Beneath the surface of the sea, there is blue silence where light moves slowly. And beneath your thoughts, there is a steadier place that does not argue, does not demand, does not chase. If you can feel your body right now, even faintly, that is already a doorway. A blanket against your skin. The weight of your head on a pillow. The gentle pull of gravity, patient and kind. Take one slow breath in. And as you exhale, imagine you are stepping down, one calm step, into that beneath. Not into something hidden like a secret, into something hidden like a kept treasure. A quiet room that has been there the whole time, waiting for you to arrive without rush. In a city, there are places that exist below the level of conversation, basements where pipes hum softly, subway platforms where footsteps echo and then fade, underground parking lots that smell faintly of cool concrete and rain carried in on shoes, storage rooms behind shops where cardboard and dust rest in peace. Most people think of those spaces as practical, not beautiful, but at night, in the imagination, they can become soothing because they are protected from wind, protected from bright light, protected from the constant display of the surface world. Now let your mind borrow that feeling. Imagine a modern city at midnight. The streets are still, not empty in a lonely way, but restful like a face at peace. Traffic lights change for no one. Windows glow here and there, quiet rectangles of warmth. A single bus passes, slow and sleepy, and then the sound dissolves, and beneath that city there is another city. Not a dramatic, cinematic underworld, a gentle underside, tunnels, foundations, old bricks, utility corridors, layers of earth. And deeper than that, in some places, there are older layers still, floors and walls and hearths from lives that came before. Cities are like people. They look solid from the outside, but inside they are layered. A first apartment, a second job, a year of grief, a year of recovery, a season when you felt lost, then another when you found your way again. These layers do not disappear. They settle. They become the foundation under your present self. If that idea feels emotional, let it be soft. You do not have to open every layer tonight. You only need to know they are there, holding you. Now picture a staircase again, the safe one, Wide steps, warm earth walls, a lantern in your hand that glows without flicker. With each step down, the air becomes quieter. Not dead quiet, living quiet. The kind of quiet where you can hear your own breath and it feels like comfort. At the bottom of the staircase is a door, not locked, just closed, so the space beyond can remain calm. You push it open gently and it swings without a squeak. Inside is a room that looks like a library, but not the bright kind with loud signs. A subterranean library, shelves carved into stone, clay tablets resting in neat rows, baskets of pottery shards labeled in careful handwriting, a few simple lamps set low, their light gold and steady. This is where the past is kept when it needs to be protected. And in the center of the room there is a long table. On it, a tablet of clay waits, cool and smooth. Beside it, a stylus. Beside that, a small bowl of water. The scene is quiet enough that your nervous system can relax inside it. Nothing is urgent here. Nothing is shouting for your attention. Even curiosity feels slow, as if it has learned to speak in a whisper. Now let's place one gentle truth on the table. Human beings have always tried to keep what matters. When floods came, people carried embers. When droughts came, people stored grain. When cities fell quiet, people rebuilt above the old floors. When a sacred circle was meant to rest, people covered it with earth like a blanket. Keeping does not always look like saving everything. Sometimes keeping looks like preserving a feeling, a way of baking bread, a way of telling stories, a rhythm of 7 days, a small gesture of kindness that survives because it was repeated. And when you think about it this way, beneath becomes not a place of loss, but a place of care. Imagine the clean clay layer again, the pale, smooth pores under. Instead of hearing it as disaster, hear it as a page break. A moment when the world turned a little, water moved, silt settled, and then life continued. A quiet reminder that interruption is not always ending. Sometimes it is only a breath between verses. Now, if you'd like a soft question to drift with, here it is. What have you been carrying on the surface that can be placed down safely beneath? Maybe it is a worry about work. Maybe it is a sentence you wish you had said differently. Maybe it is an old tension in your shoulders that has been there so long it feels normal. You do not have to name it perfectly. Just imagine placing it on that stone table in the underground library. The table is strong, it can hold it. You don't need to. Now let the story's camera move slowly across the shelves. Clay tablets, seals, fragments of bowls, a small carved stone that once fit someone's palm. Each object is quiet, but each object is a message. I was here. I mattered. I was part of a rhythm. And then, as we keep drifting, the shelves begin to transform. Without effort, like a dream scene shifting into the next, the tablets become memories. Not your memories, exactly human memories, the feeling of warmth near a fire, the sound of rain on a roof, the relief of arriving home after a long day, the calm of being with someone who does not demand anything from you. These are the true artifacts that survive through time, because while buildings crumble, the shape of comfort repeats. Now let's bring that comfort closer to your body. If your hands are tense, let them soften. If your jaw is tight, let it loosen. If your eyes are working too hard, let them float behind your eyelids. Imagine your body as one more layered city. Your muscles are streets that have carried you through days. Your bones are foundations. Your breath is the river, always moving, always returning. And beneath the bright thoughts of the mind, there is a quieter brain, the one that knows how to sleep. It has been doing this since you were very small. It does not need instructions, it only needs permission. So offer it permission now. On your next exhale, say silently, "You can rest." On the next exhale, you can stop solving. On the next exhale, you are safe. Now picture the underground library again and notice something new. In the far corner, there is a small doorway. Behind it, a chamber even quieter than the first room. This chamber has no shelves, no objects, no labels. Only soft darkness and a gentle coolness like the inside of a cave where the air is still. This is the deepest beneath. Not a place of information, a place of silence, and in that silence the mind becomes spacious, like night sky, like deep water, like a field after harvest. If thoughts pass through, they pass through slowly. They do not hook you, they do not pull you, they drift like clouds you can watch without following. Now, let the story connect one last thread between ancient time and your modern moment. Imagine a worker at an excavation site finishing for the night. The tools are put away carefully. The trench is covered to protect it until morning. A tarp is laid gently, corners weighted with stones. It looks like someone tucking in a sleeping place. That image, covering to protect, is everywhere in our story. Göbekli Tepe covered, walls filled in, floors built over, coals covered in ash. And now you, covered in blankets, you are not disappearing. You are being cared for. If you'd like, let your mind say softly, "I am allowed to be covered tonight. I am allowed to rest beneath the world." And as the story's lantern dims, remember, beneath the loud layer of life, there is always a layer that is quiet. You can return to it any time, even now, especially now. Before we drift on, notice something small and present. Your heartbeat. You may not hear it, but it is there, keeping time the way ancient lamps kept time, steady, faithful. It has carried you through every week you have lived, through seasons of your life, through moments you thought you might not make it. And it never asked for applause, it only kept. If your mind is still hovering near the surface, let the heartbeat invite you downward. Each beat is a step. Each beat is a soft tap on the floor of this inner room, reminding you that the foundation is solid. You can imagine the heartbeat as a drum from a city at night, far away, muffled by walls, not exciting, just reassuring. A sound that says life is here and life is continuing, and you are allowed to let go. Take one more slow breath in and let your exhale be longer than your inhale. Just a little longer, like a wave that lingers on the sand before returning to the sea. In the next part, we will let the journey become even more dreamlike. Desert fading into deep sea fading into starlight, until the images are so soft they barely have edges and sleep can arrive without announcement. For now, stay in the beneath, softly. Stay in the quiet room. Stay with the slow tide of breath, arriving and leaving, arriving and leaving. Let the images grow softer now. You don't have to hold them as information. You can let them be like shapes on the back of your eyelids, gentle, slow, and almost weightless. The story has already done its work. It has walked you down through layers, carried you to quiet circles, and shown you that beneath can be a place of care. So tonight, we'll move the way sleep moves, without straight lines, without sharp edges, with little dissolves, sand becoming water, water becoming sky, sky becoming the calm dark inside you. If you notice yourself thinking, you can smile at that thinking the way you might smile at a child who isn't ready to stop talking yet. There is no need to scold it. We simply guide it gently toward the softer room. Right now, bring your attention to one simple thing, the air touching the tip of your nose. It is cool when it arrives. It is warmer when it leaves. That small difference is a lantern. You can follow it without effort. Inhale, cool. Exhale, warm. Now in the story, imagine you are standing on the edge of a desert at night. Not a dramatic desert, no storm, no danger. Just a wide, peaceful field of sand under a calm moon. The dunes are smooth like folded blankets. Their curves hold the silver light, and their shadows are soft like velvet. The wind moves in slow strokes, brushing the surface so gently that it feels like the desert is being tucked in. A few steps away, your footprints appear and then begin to blur as loose sand slides in, patient, ready to erase sharpness and leave only a faint suggestion that you were there. That is what rest does too. It doesn't delete you, it simply softens the edges of the day. Somewhere in the distance there is a tell, a low, sleeping hill that has held centuries in its quiet belly. You could walk toward it, but you don't have to. Tonight, you can simply know it is there, like a memory you don't need to open. Instead, let your gaze lift to the sky. Stars are scattered generously, and the dark between them feels deep, but not empty. It feels like a calm ocean made of night. And in that ocean of darkness, you can sense the slow turning of the world, steady, faithful, never rushing. If your heart has been racing lately, imagine it matching that turning, not fast, not urgent, just steady. Now, very gently, the desert begins to change. At first, it is only a smell, salt arriving on the wind, faint and cool. Then the air itself becomes a little softer, as if it has passed over water. And then you hear it, a hush that repeats, shh, shh. The dunes without moving become waves, the sand without effort becomes the seabed, and you are standing at a shoreline under the same moon, watching water arrive and leave. There is something deeply soothing about the ocean at night. It is powerful, yes, but the power is not pointed at you. It is simply being itself. It does not care about your inbox. It does not know your calendar. It does not remember your mistakes. It only knows its rhythm. In and out. In and out. If you want, let your breath borrow that rhythm. Inhale like a wave lifting. Exhale like a wave settling. And now let the story drift a little farther out, where the water is darker and the shore is behind you. You are floating, not in a cold or frightening way, but in a warm dream. Your body is light. The surface of the sea holds you like a hand. Above, the sky is wide. Below, the water is deep and quiet. Far beneath you, there may be stones on the seabed, shapes that could be natural, or could be human, or could be both. They are not demanding, they are not calling, they are simply resting where they are, covered by time. And that is the soft lesson again. Not everything has to be uncovered tonight. Some things are meant to remain covered until morning. Some thoughts are meant to remain covered until you have more strength. Some questions are meant to remain covered until they become gentle. So if a question appears now, about floods, about lost coastlines, about the earliest gatherings under stars, you can place it down like a shell on a table. Beautiful, but not necessary to carry. Now the ocean scene begins to rise into the sky, as if the sea is turning into air. The surface becomes a mirror. The mirror becomes cloud. Cloud becomes a thin veil. And through that veil, the stars look brighter. This is where the story becomes almost like a lullaby with no lyrics, only atmosphere. Imagine a circle of stones again, high on a hill, Göbekli Tepe under a sky that feels endless. The pillars stand like quiet guardians, but not of secrets, of stillness. They are carved with animals that once lived near human fires, and the carvings look as if they are listening too. Inside the circle, you do not hear arguments, you do not hear debate. You hear wind, you hear your own breath. You hear the distant, steady pulse of the earth. And then, without drama, You see the gesture that makes this place feel tender, soil being poured slowly around the stones, not to destroy, to protect, to let it sleep. Imagine the soil like a blanket falling in slow motion, grain by grain, soft as dusk. The stones disappear, but the feeling remains. The circle becomes a dream stored in the earth. And if you look carefully, you might notice something. The earth does not hide things the way fear hides things. The earth holds things the way a parent holds a sleeping child. Close, safe, warm. Tonight, you can let the earth hold you like that too. Not literally, just in the sense of gravity, the gentle force that keeps you supported on your bed, your sofa, your seat. Gravity is one of the oldest lullabies. It says, you don't have to float alone, you can be held. Now let's bring one more thread from deep time into your present room, the thread of routine, the 7-day rhythm, the repeated maintenance, the gentle act of keeping. Imagine an ancient home at the end of the day, a clay lamp on the floor, a simple meal, a child yawning, someone smoothing ashes over embers so the heat can last until morning. That act, covering embers to keep them, might be the perfect image for sleep, because sleep is not the extinguishing of your life. Sleep is the covering of your inner flame so it can keep glowing quietly through the dark. So if you've been afraid that rest will make you fall behind, let the embers answer. Rest is how you keep going. Now your own room returns to focus. The ceiling above you, the fabric against your skin, the quiet around you. Notice that your body already knows what to do when it is allowed. Muscles release in tiny stages like knots untying themselves without your help. The jaw loosens. The tongue rests. The eyes stop looking and start floating. You can help gently with one simple practice. Inhale for a slow count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And exhale for a slow count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do that again if it feels good. Inhale, 3. Exhale, 5. The longer exhale tells your nervous system the danger has passed. And if the day still feels close, remember, the past has held far heavier days than yours, and still the night arrived and people slept, and the world turned toward morning again. Now a soft reflection, as light as mist. Maybe history is not asking you to know. Maybe history is asking you to feel. To feel how many lives have ended their days with the same hope you have tonight. To be safe, to be warm, to let the mind quiet down. You are part of that long human line. You belong here. And because you belong, you can rest. If you'd like one more image, small, everyday, and comforting, imagine a night train moving through darkness so peacefully. Not fast, not loud, just steady. The windows are rectangles. Inside, a few passengers rest with their heads turned toward the glass, their faces softened by sleep. The train's sound is a rhythmic hush, a gentle clack that repeats like a heartbeat you can lean on. Outside, fields pass as shadows. A river flashes once, catching moonlight, then disappears. The world feels wide, but you are safe inside this room, held by motion that does not demand anything from you. And for a moment, it's easy to see how the past and present touch. Long ago, travelers crossed plains by foot, then by cart, then by boat along the rivers. Tonight, you travel by story. You don't have to arrive anywhere. You only have to be carried. If a thought comes, who, what, when, where, why, how, let it soften into answers that require no effort. Who is traveling tonight? A tired mind, a steady heart. What are we carrying? Only breath, only warmth. When is this journey happening? In the quiet hour before sleep? Where are we going? Toward the inner room of rest. Why are we allowed to go there? Because you have done enough for one day. How do we get there? Slowly, gently, one exhale at a time. Let the train continue. Let the clack become softer. Let it fade into the ocean's hush, then into the desert stillness, then into the quiet dark behind your eyelids, until there is nothing left to do but drift. If you are still listening, let the sound of these sentences be like slow hands smoothing a sheet. Nothing here is urgent. Nothing here is sharp. This is the hour for the small, steady work that no one applauds, but that keeps a life gentle. In the ancient world, the most important things were often the simplest. Water, carried in jars, grain measured into bowls, a fire kept alive through the night. Not because anyone wanted to impress the sky, but because people needed warmth, and the body needs rhythm. Tonight, your body is asking for that same kind of rhythm. So we'll do something very quiet together. We'll practice maintenance, not the loud kind of maintenance. No fixing, no forcing, no dramatic breakthroughs. Just keeping, just tending, just allowing. Notice your breathing again. You don't have to change it. Just notice it the way you might notice a candle flame in a dark room. In and out. Now imagine a small courtyard in an ancient city at the end of the day. The stones underfoot have held many footsteps and they are still warm from sun. A clay jar stands near a wall, cool and heavy. A broom made of twigs rests nearby, ready to sweep away dust. A woman steps into the courtyard and begins to tidy. Not because the world is watching, because tomorrow will come, and she wants the morning to feel easier. Shh, shh. The broom pulls dust into a small pile. The sound is gentle enough to slow the mind. This is maintenance and this is care. And if you look closely, you might feel something soften inside you, because modern life often teaches us that only big victories matter, only big changes, only big moments. But the nervous system is calmed by small repetition, by the reliable return of simple acts. Your breathing is such an act. Your bed is such an act. Even listening to a story at night is a kind of maintenance, an act of caring for your own inner weather. If today was difficult, you do not need to solve that difficulty right now. You can simply sweep the dust of it into a corner and let it rest there until morning. Not denial, just timing, just kindness. Imagine a table in that courtyard. On the table, a small lamp. The flame is low and it does not flicker wildly. It is steady, patient, as if it has been trained by centuries. Beside the lamp, a shallow bowl of water. The water is still. If you dip your fingers into it, it feels cool and clean. It asks nothing. It simply is. Now picture that you bring your hands to the bowl. You rinse away the day, not as a metaphor that needs to be perfect. As a simple image your body can understand. Rinse away the emails. Rinse away the arguments, rinse away the unfinished sentences, rinse away the tiny tensions you held without noticing. Then you dry your hands on a cloth. The cloth is soft, worn, familiar. It has been used many times. It carries no judgment, only function. This is what sleep does too. It rinses, it resets, it dries the mind gently so it can begin again. Now let the story return to the layered earth for a moment. Think of a tell. City upon city, floor upon floor, the past becoming foundation. No one demanded that each layer be flawless. It only needed to hold. Your life is like that. There are days beneath this day. Some were bright, some were heavy, some were confusing, and all of them have become the ground you stand on now. You don't have to dig them up tonight. You don't have to relive them. You can simply be grateful that the ground holds. There is a quiet kind of strength in being held. Now, one gentle question, only if it feels soothing. What is one thing you did today that counts as maintenance? Maybe you drank water. Maybe you showed up to work. Maybe you washed a cup. Maybe you answered someone with patience. Maybe you simply got through the day. Let that small thing be enough. Let it be a pebble you place in your pocket, warm from your hand, and now let's turn toward letting go. In ancient households, people often covered embers with ash at night. They didn't leave the fire roaring, they didn't panic and extinguish it completely. They covered it, they protected it, they trusted that warmth could last quietly. You can do the same with your thoughts. If a thought is bright and noisy, you don't have to fight it. You can cover it. You can say, not now. You can let it glow under a soft layer, and you can return to it tomorrow if you still need to. Try it now. If a worry appears, imagine it as an ember. Cover it with ash. The ash is not cold, it is protective, it is gentle, it is permission. Now notice how the worry becomes quieter, not because it vanished, but because you stopped feeding it air. This is maintenance too, the maintenance of attention. If your mind wants a simple map, let it hold a very soft 5W1H, like 6 stones placed in a circle, not to test you, only to steady you. Who is here tonight? A tired human being doing their best. What is happening? The day is ending and you are releasing it. When is this? The hour when the world finally asks less of you. Where are you? In your room, and also in the quiet beneath your thoughts. Why are you allowed to rest? Because you're alive and bodies need sleep. How do you get there? One long exhale at a time. Now the scene shifts very softly. To your own room, you might be hearing distant sounds, a refrigerator hum, a fan, a car far away, or maybe nothing but the quiet inside your ears. Let these sounds become part of the story. Ancient cities had night sounds too, a dog settling, a door closing, wind touching reeds. Sound is not an enemy of sleep, it can be a cradle. As you listen, feel the weight of your body. Feel how the bed holds you. Notice that you are not floating. You are supported. If your shoulders are still lifted, let them fall. If your brow is still tight, let it soften. If your stomach is still holding, let it loosen. And if your mind is still busy, let it do one simple job. Let it count breaths. Inhale, 1. Exhale, 1. Inhale, 2. Exhale, 2. Go as slow as you like. If you lose the count, that is fine. Losing the count often means you are drifting, and drifting is exactly where we want to go. Now imagine an excavation site at night. The tools are gathered and placed in their cases. The trench is not left open to the wind. It is covered carefully. Cloth, tarp, boards, whatever keeps the edges safe. Stones are set at the corners so nothing flaps, nothing startles. This is the same gesture as blankets. Covering is a form of care. And because your mind likes gentle patterns, you can remember the week again, the 7-day lantern you've lived inside for so long. A week is just another layer, another kind of foundation. One day stacked on the next until the months form a hill, and the years become a landscape. You don't climb that hill by sprinting. You climb it by showing up, by keeping the small promises, by maintaining what matters. If you want, picture the days of the week as smooth stones in your palm. You don't have to name them. You simply feel their weight. Some stones are lighter, some heavier, but all of them are rounded by time. Now very gently, set those stones down beside you, one by one. You are not dropping them. You are placing them where they can wait. And in the quiet space that opens, let gratitude arrive like a warm breeze. Not a grand gratitude that demands emotion, just a small one. A quiet thank you to your body for carrying you. A quiet thank you to the past for leaving lanterns in clay and stone. A quiet thank you to this night for giving you permission to pause. Even if nothing else feels certain, this is you are here, you are breathing, and you can let go now, gently. And now bring back the circle under stars for one last quiet visit. The stone pillars stand, the night wind moves, the sky is vast and calm. Somewhere, long ago, someone decided to cover the circle and let it sleep. That gesture is the heart of tonight's lesson. Sometimes the best way to keep something is to let it rest. You can let your ambitions rest tonight. You can let your plans rest. You can let your need to understand rest. You can even let your identity rest, the roles you play, the masks you wear, the ways you perform competence. Underneath all that, you are simply a human being who needs sleep. That is enough. If you'd like another gentle question, let it be this. Right now, where are you listening from? And what would it feel like to be fully held there? You don't have to answer. Let your body answer by growing heavier. Here is a quiet affirmation you can borrow if it feels good. I have done enough for today. I can be unfinished. I can be held. I can sleep. Say it silently once, like a whisper into a pillow. Now the images begin to fade again. Courtyard, lamp, bowl, tell, sea, stars. They dim like lanterns at the end of a long hallway. What remains is the simplest thing, breath, in and out. And beneath breath, the deeper thing, rest. You don't have to reach it. It comes to you when you stop reaching. So let go of reaching. Let the story become a soft murmur. Let the murmur become silence. Let the silence become sleep. Somewhere outside your room, the night keeps doing what it has always done. It cools the edges of buildings. It softens the glare of streets. It lowers the volume of the world until even the busiest city has to whisper. And inside your room, inside your body, that same quiet is arriving. Not all at once, not as a switch, more like a tide, steady and patient, coming in a little farther with each exhale. If you can, let your exhale be just a touch longer than your inhale, not forced, just gently longer, like a wave that lingers before it returns. Inhale and feel the air arrive. Exhale and feel the air leave. Inhale and feel your chest rise. Exhale and feel everything settle. Tonight we've traveled through deep time. We've stood at the edge of deserts and the edge of seas. We've listened to the hush of dust over buried floors. We've looked up at stars above a circle of stone. We've felt the soft relief of not knowing and the quiet strength of keeping. Now the journey turns its face homeward. Not away from history, but toward the place where history meets you most gently, the present moment, the small here, the safe now. Imagine the ancient world again, but closer than before, more domestic. A simple house made of mud brick, a doorway covered by a woven curtain. Inside, the air holds the day's warmth. A clay lamp burns low, and its light makes soft shadows on the wall. A pot sits on a hearth, already cooling. The room smells faintly of grain and smoke and clean earth. Outside, someone has finished the last small tasks. Water jars are filled. Tools are placed where morning hands will find them. A broom rests against the wall. The embers in the hearth are covered with ash, the way you cover a thought you don't need to feed tonight. And then the most important act happens. Nothing dramatic. No speech. Just the body lying down. In that house, someone rests their head on folded cloth. Their shoulders release. Their breath finds its natural pace. They listen for a moment to the night sounds, wind, a distant animal, the faint creak of wood. Then those sounds become part of the dark, and the dark becomes kind. You are doing the same thing now. If your mind tries to pull you into tomorrow, let's meet that gently. Tomorrow may be work. Tomorrow may be errands. Tomorrow may be conversations you've rehearsed in your head. Tomorrow, but maybe a calendar full of boxes. And because you're thoughtful, because you care, your mind wants to prepare. But preparation can wait. Planning can wait. Solving can wait. Tonight is for one task only, returning to your own quiet layer. If a thought comes in, I should remember this. I can't forget that. What if? Imagine placing it into a small clay jar. The jar has a lid. You close it softly. You set it on a shelf. It will be there in the morning, exactly where you left it. You are not losing anything. You are simply storing it. This is the gentle discipline of sleep, not fighting thoughts, but shelving them. Now let the story offer you a soft 5W1H again, not as a test, but as a lullaby of orientation. Who are you tonight? A human being who has carried enough for one day. What is happening? The world is dimming, and you are allowed to dim with it. When is this? The hour between not yet and already. When sleep begins to arrive. Where are you? In your room, and also in the deeper room beneath your thoughts. Why can you rest? Because resting is part of the rhythm that keeps you whole. How will you get there? By letting the body do what it already knows. Soften, sink, drift. Good. Let those questions fall away now like petals. You don't need to hold them. You only needed the comfort of their gentle answers. Now imagine your city again. Maybe you live in a place with tall buildings. Maybe you live somewhere quieter, with more trees and fewer lights. Either way, there is a foundation under you, literal and invisible. Concrete, yes, but also the foundation of shared human life. Roads, water lines, schedules, the 7-day lantern, the old agreements that keep communities moving. And beneath that foundation, the earth. Still, patient, holding. When you lie down at night, you are joining that heldness. You are letting gravity do the work. You are letting the ground be trustworthy. If you can feel your bed under you, notice how it asks nothing. It simply supports. This is one of the great kindnesses of the physical world. Support exists. You don't have to earn it every second. You are allowed to receive it. Let your shoulders receive it. Let your lower back receive it. Let your legs receive it. Let your hands receive it. Fingers loosening as if they have been holding something heavy all day and are finally setting it down. Now the images of history begin to soften into simpler shapes. The tell becomes a rounded hill. The trench becomes a quiet line. The clay tablets become smooth rectangles of calm. The sea becomes a hush. The circle of stones becomes a ring of moonlight. Everything grows less detailed, more dreamlike, because detail is a daytime activity. Night prefers softness. If you are still awake, you might notice little shifts in your body. A yawn that arrives like a wave, a swallow, a deeper exhale, a tiny release in the muscles around your eyes. These are the small signs that sleep is walking towards you. And as sleep approaches, the mind sometimes does one last sweep of the day, like a caretaker checking doors and windows. That is normal. That is the brain's way of making sure you are safe. So if you notice that sweep, you can respond with kindness. You can say silently, "Thank you, I'm safe now." You can say, "You can rest too." Now let's revisit the soft discovery at the heart of tonight's story, but in the gentlest way. Buried does not always mean lost. Covered does not always mean erased. Sometimes covered means cared for. Göbekli Tepe covered in earth. Embers covered in ash. A trench covered for the night. And you covered in blankets. This is the same gesture, repeated across time, protection through softness. So if you have been feeling exposed lately, exposed to pressure, to criticism, to too much information, let tonight be a covering. Let the darkness cover you. Let the quiet cover you. Let the story cover you like a warm shawl. Now imagine a small light in the distance, not a bright light, a gentle one. It could be a porch light, a street lamp seen through trees, A window in a quiet building, a lighthouse far off on a dark coast. That light is not calling you to action. It is simply saying, the world is here, steady, even when you rest. You do not have to watch the light. You can trust it exists while you sleep. And somewhere beyond that light is morning. Morning will come on its own. Morning does not need you to drag it forward. It arrives the way dawn arrives, gradually, inevitably, without argument. You can let that be soothing, because it means you don't have to force your life to move. Life moves, time moves, the week turns, the river flows, the ocean breathes. The world keeps its slow promises, and your only promise tonight is to let go. If you'd like a simple phrase to repeat, let it be as plain as a stone. Not now, not tonight, in the morning. Say it to your worries, say it to your plans, say it to your inner critic. Not now, not tonight, in the morning. Now let's bring the scene back to your breath one more time. Because breath is the oldest bridge between story and sleep. One more small scene, if you'd like it, a quiet excavation site just before sunrise. The workers return with thermoses of tea, shoulders wrapped in jackets, faces soft with sleep. They lift the covering from the trench the way you lift a blanket from a sleeping child. Slow, respectful, careful not to startle the air. Underneath, the soil is cool and still. A thin line of stone waits, patient as ever. No one rushes, no one demands an answer. They simply begin again. Brush, pause, brush, pause. And you can borrow that pace for your own life. If something in you needs attention, you don't have to dig at it tonight. You can cover it, let it rest, and return when the light is kinder. For now, you belong to the night. Here, in this quiet corner of ours, no one has to prove anything. Let your breathing be the brush, your exhale the pause, and your body the steady ground that holds you tonight. Inhale, the air arrives. Exhale, the air leaves. Inhale, you are here. Exhale, you are safe. Inhale, nothing to prove. Exhale, nothing to fix. If your mind tries to open a new tab, let your exhale close it gently, one tab at a time. Close, close, close. And if you fall asleep before the end of this part, that is perfect. The story will keep walking softly even if you're no longer listening. It will turn into the sound of your own breathing, and then into silence, and then into whatever dreams your mind has been saving, covered carefully beneath the surface. Tonight, you are being held by many layers. The bed, the room, the night, the earth, time. And beneath all of it, a quiet truth. You do not need to carry the world while you sleep. Let the world sit on the table for a while. Let your hands be empty. Let your body sink. Let your mind drift. Morning will find you. For now, let the doorway of morning stay closed softly, like a curtain that keeps the room dark and safe. Rest here, breathe here, drift here. If you are still awake, you are welcome here. If you have already begun to drift, you are welcome too. Tonight, let the story become softer than words. We have walked through deep time together, through river plains and sleeping hills, through clay and lantern light, through a circle of stones under patient stars. We have listened to the sea breathing, and we have felt the quiet strength of layers, floor over floor, memory over memory, care over care. Now we return to the simplest truth of all. You are here, and you can rest. Take one slow breath in, as if you are gathering warmth, and breathe out as if you are setting that warmth gently across your shoulders. Somewhere beneath the surface of the world, there is always a place that does not rush, a place that does not argue, a place that does not ask you to prove anything. Tonight, let that place be inside you. Imagine the earth again, dark, steady, and kind. Imagine how it holds a buried city without squeezing it, how it keeps secrets without cruelty, how it preserves without demanding applause. Now imagine that same kind of holding, but closer, your bed. Holding your body holding your breath holding your mind. You don't have to hold yourself up anymore. Let your forehead smooth, as if warm water is flowing across it. Let your eyes soften behind your eyelids. Let your jaw loosen, the tongue resting with no effort. Let your shoulders drop a fraction, then another fraction, as if they are remembering how to be supported. If you notice thoughts still moving, that is okay. Thoughts are like small birds. They flutter, they circle, they look for a place to land. You do not have to chase them away. You can simply offer them a quiet branch. The branch is your breath. Inhale, slow. Exhale, longer. Inhale, soft. Exhale, softer. Now let a final image come, gentle and dim, like the last frame of a film before the screen goes dark. Picture a city at night. Traffic has thinned. Windows glow like small amber squares. A quiet street lamp makes a circle of light on the pavement. And under that pavement, under the pipes and cables and foundations, there is soil. Under the soil, older soil. Under that, a layer where another time once lived, an old floor, a forgotten wall, a hearth that once held embers. Nothing down there is panicking. Nothing is trying to be seen. Everything is simply resting in its place, held by time. Let that calm move into your chest. If you have been living at the surface, fast, bright, exposed, tonight you are allowed to go beneath. Beneath tasks, beneath performance, beneath the need to be understood, just beneath the place where you do not have to explain yourself to anyone, not even to your own mind. Now very softly, imagine the ancient gesture of covering. At the end of a day, a worker covers an excavation trench, corners weighted with stones, so the fabric won't flap. Everything protected until morning. At the end of a night, someone covers embers with ash, not to extinguish the warmth, but to keep it quietly alive. At Göbekli Tepe long ago, people covered stone pillars with soil, not to erase, but to let the circles sleep. And now you are covered too, by blankets, by darkness, by the simple permission of night. Covered does not mean lost. Covered means cared for. So if there is anything you have been afraid of losing, your energy, your peace, your sense of self, let this be your answer. You are not losing yourself tonight. You are keeping yourself. You are maintaining the quiet flame. Now, if you'd like, place one hand on your chest or your stomach. Feel the gentle movement of breath. Feel how loyal it is, how it returns without being asked, how it leaves without taking anything from you. Breathe in, breathe out. And with each exhale, let the day slide away like sand, smoothing itself after footsteps. You don't have to review everything. You don't have to fix everything. You don't have to carry tomorrow yet. Tomorrow is a door, and tonight that door can stay closed. Not locked, just closed. So the room can remain quiet. If a thought knocks on the door, you can answer with a whisper. Not now, not tonight, in the morning. Then you return to breath. Inhale, exhale. Now imagine, very simply, that your mind is a wide museum after closing time. The lights have been lowered, the halls are empty. Only the quiet remains, and the quiet feels gentle, like velvet. Along the walls there are glass cases filled with artifacts, a small clay tablet, a worn bead, a fragment of pottery curved like a crescent. They sit there without urgency. They do not demand that you understand them tonight. They only ask that you let them be. Your thoughts can be like that too. They can be artifacts placed behind glass, visible but not pressing, present but not pulling. If a memory rises, something sweet, something difficult, imagine placing it in a calm display case. Close the latch softly, walk on, unhurried, down the quiet hallway of the mind. And as you walk, you begin to notice the floor beneath you. It is smooth, it is steady, it has carried many footsteps. You feel safe on it. Now bring your attention to your feet. Even if they are under blankets, you can sense them. Let them soften, as if warm sand is supporting them. Let your toes relax, spreading just a little, then resting. Let the softness move into your ankles, then into your calves, then into your knees, those patient joints that carry you through weeks and years. Thank them quietly, without words, by letting them rest. Let the heaviness travel into your thighs, then into your hips. Let the hips settle as if they have finally found the perfect position and the one where nothing needs to be held up. Let your lower back release. If it's been working hard for you, let it be supported now. Let the middle of your back widen like a sail relaxing when the wind stops. Let your chest soften, ribs gently expanding and resting again. Now your arms, let the upper arms sink. Let the elbows loosen. Let the forearms grow warm and heavy. Let your hands open in whatever way is natural. Fingers curled or straight, it doesn't matter. Just let them rest like leaves on still water. Now your neck. Let the muscles around the throat soften. Let the head be heavy, comfortably heavy, the way a stone is heavy on the bottom of a river, held, not strained. Let the back of your head melt into the pillow. And now the face. Smooth the forehead, soften the temples, let the eyes float, let the cheeks loosen. Let the lips part slightly or rest closed, whatever is easiest. No effort. In this softness, remember one gentle idea from earlier. The week is a lantern with 7 panes. Tonight, you do not need to light every pane. Tonight, you only need the dimmest one. The pane that says, rest is part of the rhythm, not a reward. If tomorrow is Monday, let Monday wait in the distance like a quiet train that hasn't arrived at the station yet. If tomorrow is another day, let it wait just the same. The timetable belongs to daylight. Night belongs to release. Inhale quietly. Exhale longer. If you like, imagine that with each exhale, you step down one more safe stair. Not into darkness, but into a deeper calm. At the bottom of the stairs is that underground library again, not full of questions, but full of stillness. The shelves are lined with time, and you're allowed to leave your thoughts there, arranged neatly, so you don't have to carry them in your hands. Tonight, you can be empty-handed, you can be held, you can drift. Now let's offer one last gentle reflection, soft enough to be a lullaby, not sharp enough to wake you. History is not only a story of building, it is also a story of returning to a place, returning to a routine, returning to a calm that was never truly gone. You can return too. Even if your week has been heavy, you can return. Even if your mind has been loud, you can return. Even if you feel far from yourself, you can return. The path back is simple. One breath, then another, and if you fall asleep mid-path, that is the path working. Here, in this quiet corner of the night, no one rests alone. Every listener is a small lantern. Every comment, when you choose to leave one, is a warm sign that you were here. So when you wake, tomorrow or another day, if you remember this story and it brought you calm, you can leave a gentle comment for yourself. You can share where you were listening from. You can tell us one small thing you're grateful for. And if you'd like to keep this quiet corner close, don't forget to subscribe for more peaceful nighttime journeys from Ancient Sleep Story. Now, we will do what the earth does best. We will let things settle. Let the muscles around your eyes settle. Let your shoulders settle. Let your hands settle. fingers loose and heavy. Let your legs settle, as if the bed is a soft shoreline and you are a wave finally coming to rest. Inhale like a small tide coming in. Exhale like a small tide going out. Inhale, stars above a silent hill. Exhale, sand smoothing under moonlight. Inhale, a lantern in a trench. Exhale, the lantern dimming. If sleep has not come yet, that's fine. Let your only job be listening to the hush between sentences. The hush will widen. The body will follow. And soon, without a moment, you can point to, you'll be asleep safe again. Let night hold you and let the world be quiet. The images fade. The voice fades. And what remains is the oldest lullaby of all. Breath and darkness and the safe, steady weight of being held. Good night.